association with Anderson Consulting.
Hello, Blur are generally held to be the most original and successful British band of the 1990s. Formed in 1989 by Damon Albarn and Graham Coxon and Dave Rowntree, all from Colchester, and Alex James from Bournemouth, they had their first top 10 hit with There's No Other Way in 1991. But it was with the release of their third album, Parklife, that they achieved national fame. The album sold over 5 million copies worldwide, and Britpop was truly born. Despite an overhyped public rivalry with the band Oasis and constant rumours of breakup, they've successfully reinvented themselves throughout the decade and now celebrate their 10th anniversary as Britain's foremost indie band. Jerry Fox's film follows them from recording studios to a one-off gig at Goldsmiths College to mark this occasion.
I remember watching the South Bank show on the Smiths round at Graham's house, and then Morrissey said something at the end. He said that the Smiths were the last important band, and I just got so pissed off with that, and I walked all the way home just sort of determined to prove him wrong. It's just really pathetic, isn't it? I also had a little fantasy that if I ever got on the South Bank show, I'd say the same thing as him. Now the moment has arisen, I just can't bring myself to be that sort of I don't know, petty, really.
Of course we survive, we're very resilient like anybody else. We're not daft enough to self-destruct. I think we know that music isn't everything, and it's not worth dying for. There's other shit going on. There's a lot more worthy of attention.
We're all much too proud to admit that we rely on each other, but we do. It's got more to do with working hard than being a genius. It's the thing that gets me. I thought you just had to be a genius.
We can all do good stuff on our own. It takes the four of us together to be this good. You know, we all need each other. Which is probably why we all hate each other as well, you know.
Everything about Britain in the mid-90s, from Cool Britannia to the Spice Girls, the Oasis Blur feud, if not caused by Parklife, certainly Parklife is absolutely integral, and Blur were absolutely integral in that process. Also, they've just made, pound for pound, the best British pop records of the 90s.
I just realised, even though I haven't been on this train for maybe 2 years or something, that I know every single detail of this track. Could almost kind of give you a commentary of it with my eyes closed all the way up to Colchester. spent a lot of time on this train.
Thank you.
And saw how it wore people down, made people very tense, and how miserable it seemed to make people. You know, there is something sad about leaving your family and getting on a train and travelling 100 miles every day. Just for what? Just to sort of put bread on the table. And the way that everyone's sort of forced to wear suits, forced to conform.
An old same train, same station, sat in the same seat, with the same nasty stain, next to same old what's his name, on his way to the same place, with the same name.
It breaks the human spirit. And I think that's probably why it's quite an attractive subject for songwriters, because you know, it's quite emotional. I find it emotional. Well, we're at Stanway School. This is where Graham and I went to school. Lives. We did our first ever performance, if you could call it that, at 8:30 in the morning for an assembly for the 4th and 5th years. I think I was playing the piano, and I think we did a Jimi Hendrix song. I failed A-level music in this room. I remember the moment when I realised I just didn't know what I was talking about. This is the place I feel most comfortable. I don't really relate to any of the rest of the school. That's why more money should be put into schools like this, because they haven't got any money. You can see they've got no money. They didn't have any money when I was there. You know, that's why I always found it a bit difficult to stomach being accused of going to public school. Because I didn't. I've got to introduce this, because this is like an old friend. I spent more time in this porter cabin than anywhere else in this school. This is where we used to rehearse, spend all my time in here, really. I want to go now, I don't really want to stay anymore. I've had enough of it. It's all right for half an hour, no?
We used to just sit in the porter cabins and tinkle about. He used to write stuff that I'd play to on sax, and we listened to whatever the music rooms had, records. We listened to Threepenny Opera and Tommy, I think. This piece was written as part of a competition at school. I think I was about 15. And it was meant to be a sort of exercise of our knowledge of sort of more of that theoretical side of music. It was called something like sonata. I'm a little bit loath to call it anything now, because now when you're young you don't mind being really pretentious. But it gets a little bit embarrassing as you get older. So I think I'll call it something else.
Again and again and again.
came across Graham in the pubs in Colchester. He was a committed drinker, and I was too. The Colchester music scene, such it was very incestuous anyway, and pretty much everybody had played in bands with pretty much everyone else, so it was only really a matter of time, I think, before we all came across each other anyway. I mean, Alex was the odd man out, really, because he was in Bournemouth. Nobody really came across him until Graham went to college.
Well, this is Goldsmiths College, alma mater, the hallowed seat of learning. Graham was doing a fine art course here. I was doing French, and Damon used to come, and I think he was doing a musical composition course here, but really just to hang out. But it was quite an exciting place to be at the time. There was a group of artists, probably led by Damien Hirst, who were starting to grab headlines.
Most of my time at Goldsmiths was spent discussing silk cut adverts and how outrageous they were, which got to be a little bit tiresome. But there were some good people there.
They've always been an art school band. This is in a way like all kinds of people from Pink Floyd to punk rock, Malcolm McLaren. This is the great English art school kind of pop tradition. And I think it was just somewhere where they could hang out, get drunk, and again, talk this good intellectual fight. And it was kind of giving them a certain confidence and a certain swagger, and with a certain theoretical underpinning for what they were going to do.
Well, here we are in the Camden Falcon. It's one of any number of venues in London of about this size, which, when you start getting a little bit of attention as a band, you arrive at. Moving to London, there's this whole scene of people who are just obsessed with music, and people willing to put gigs on, and people who, you know, want to talk about bands and stay up all night. And, you know, this is the smoky, smelly introduction to chaos.
Waiting on an empty day, just the same as every day. Though I got nothing to say, I'm just gonna say anyway.
I think the emphasis for us then was just on energy, really. I mean, we rarely actually finished a gig completely. You know, there was always a point where everything either got trashed, or I'd be sick, or someone would get hit over the head, or the electricity would go. It was almost a sort of failure if we got to the end of the gig, really.
I saw these four lunatics jumping all over the place, falling over, and thought, don't know why, but this is good. And after that, I got my partner Dave Balfe along to see them, and we pursued them, and we got them signed quite cheaply, it has to be said, but it worked out all right in the end, and the rest is history.
Like most bands, we probably got a record deal because we look quite good. You know, I think all music is good, really, even the loads of stuff that doesn't get heard. It's just how you can make people notice it, you know, and the easiest way to do that is if a band looks good.
Taking a far out of everything, making it clear when I don't want to think. You're taking me up when I don't want to go up anymore. Just watching it all. There's no other way. There's no other way. All that you can do is watch them play. There's no other way. There's no.
I remember the second single, There's No Other Way, which was a top 10 hit. Coming down to the studio, hearing it halfway through the recording and going, that sounds like a top 10 hit, which I think is the only time I've ever done that in the studio ever. And it was, and it did.
It was very different times, because the concept of a band like Blur selling 1 million albums would just seem ludicrous at that time. It just didn't exist. You know, getting a gold record of 100,000 albums was, you got the champagne out. Ultimately, this changed with the release of Park Life in 1994.
Watch you play.
On the first album, a lot of the songs, as you can imagine, for a lot of bands, are played live before they're actually recorded. So in those instances, they will often be bringing in a song that they have played in some form or other for a few months. Pretty much the putting together of the song would be complete to a certain degree by that point. But later on, obviously, there will be songs that Damon might have written the night before, and then have to be a period of putting together in the studio the construction of the song.
So, minor.
Yeah. A minor, G, C, D, but it doesn't have to come. It's a sort of. It could be something that's just.
No, the C sharp.
Yeah. So it goes through the C as well. So it goes. Yeah. Yeah, it's really nice the way it does that.
I think the process of music making is awfully kind of over-mystified. It's very straightforward, really, but it is mainly trick, you know, one or two good tricks and lots of craft. The only way to really become good at music is to just keep doing it.
You play that and I'll do my bit. But it's my dear, open up my end, go. I got you, man. There is no time to doubt them, Lord, and man. Giving us some let go. You were going the other way to me and I was going back. You're going. This would be a lovely groove.
Certainly the way we've worked in the past, sometimes where Damon's come in with a demo and said, I want it to be exactly like this. And sometimes where we've all gone in and everyone's looked at each other and said, got any ideas? No? All right, let's go then. So, there's a huge spectrum of working styles in there.
They syncopate really nicely, my rhythm and your rhythm.
I kind of like the idea of something coming out of chaos a lot more than thinking very hard. If you think very hard to achieve something, you're going to be pretty disappointed, and you're never disappointed with accidents or mistakes if they're positive and come out of almost nothing.
Give yourself my love, well.
I can't sing it and play it. As usual.
Do it without that then.
Okay.
Keep it going really solidly. Okay. And we'll turn you up in here. Can you turn Dave up in here?
Yeah, really loud.
Beside my head, I will see duet come, run myself up to let me down, getting in the time mood. Getting in the right frame of mind. Always saw my left jaw, waiting for it to let me move mine to getting out my get.
It's got the groove going nicely. It sounds quite. So you look forward to it coming back into the back on itself, don't you?
What are you doing there?
spiritual boy out of what is known as. And morning think about boy who can take a route straight through what is known as. John's got through his troop, he gets intimidated by the day, pigeon tape, love a bit of it. Who's that guy, Lord Marshall? You should cut down on your pole life, mate. Get some exercise. Oh, the people, so many people, and they all go hand in hand through their part life.
I think Part Life was London Fields. I'd moved to West London and I read that book, and I think from an outsider's view that was kind of a very spiritual book. It was full of references to particular places, particular pubs. It was my Bible for 12 months, and I wrote an album about it, really.
You should cut down on your pork life, mate. Get some exercise. All the people, so many people, they all go hand in hand through their part life.
Part Life, I suppose, had such an effect on people because it was a snapshot of a country. It captured, in some way, everything that was going on.
It's got nothing to do with the lost blackbird technique, you know. Animating joggers who go round and round and round and round and round. All the people, there's so many people, and they all go hand in hand.
It's perhaps difficult now at the fag end of Britpop, how significant it was for a group to come forward saying we want to celebrate traditional English kind of subcultural values of being a bit sarky, a bit lively, a bit smart. Part Life was the quintessential pop artifact of that time.
Part Life has a lot of people sort of running into the sea, you know, just going, "Help!" A lot of that. Escaping. It's all about, I suppose, the way I always see seaside towns is they're on the edge of nowhere, aren't they?
And into the sea goes pretty England to me, round the Bay of Biscay, a bag for tea. In traffic on the Dogger Bank, then up the Thames to find a taxi rank, sail on by with the tide, go to sleep, and the radio says, this is alive, but it won't hurt you when you're alive. There will be drowning you, finding ways to stay so low.
This Is a Low is basically a kind of psychedelic Edward Lear, John Lennon trip around the English or the British coast using BBC Radio 4's shipping forecast, which, you know, I'm sure many people will be familiar with, Dogger, Viking, all those places, using that as a kind of, as a template or a narrative structure.
Fast enough, dear. And on the marinades, black bullets, blue and red, and the Queen, she's gone round the bend, gentle man's end.
I suppose, you know, it's just the way when I was growing up, I saw the coast really like this, grey and not unfriendly, but just melancholy really. So, good place to start that song here. I suppose everything did change after that record. I mean, we didn't make the record thinking that we'd hit on a magic formula. So it was a surprise, and I think everyone in the band reacted to it differently. That sense of being in a very exclusive little gang changed somewhat.
That much attention doesn't, you know, it means you can become a monster and get away with it. You can just afford to become a very selfish person, you know, when you're in the coolest band in the world.
It didn't ultimately change the reason why we were in a band together, because we like playing together and we like experimenting. That's what it's always been about. It's always been about Graham and me listening to lots of different kind of music and then trying to make some sort of a coalition party in the studio, you know.
Getting out the side door, couldn't ask for much more. Shooting out my wide side, keeping it all inside. So sorry, coming off it gently. Legacy is empty. Getting out the side door, couldn't ask for much more. Shooting out on my white side for you.
Okay, it's done.
City dweller, successful fella, thought to himself, oops, I've got a lot of money. Caught in a rat race, terminally. I'm a professional cynic, but my heart's not in it. I'm paying the price of living life at the limit. Caught up in the centuries, anxiety. Yes, it plays on him.
I wandered into food offices one day to see Andy, and I was looking at some cassettes on his desk, and I saw a new Blur song called Country House, and I said, picked it up and go, what, is this about me? Jokingly, and Andy looked kind of embarrassed at me at the time. I thought, oh, it is about me.
Yeah, Country House is based on Dave Balfe. It was, but it's also, oh God, I don't want to talk about that song. Fucking nightmare.
Fighting for the 1995 title of most popular British band are Oasis, 5 hard-drinking Mancunian rockers. Their opponents are Blur, 4 hard-drinking but very user-friendly Essex boys. The two bands are in a head-to-head contest, both releasing their singles today. When the record shop doors opened this morning, battle commenced. The chances are both singles could have been #1 had they been released on separate weeks.
I can't really look on it in any other way other than a grand farce, really. It was the wrong song for that particular moment, but, you know, in a way, I'm kind of glad that we did it, because I don't think we'd have maybe been able to escape the whole sort of thing about being a big band and being involved with the tabloids and just that whole circus which none of us were comfortable with. And by making such a sort of grand error, we were relegated but it did us a lot of good, you know.
In the country, in the country.
I don't relate to that period at all. It was completely surreal. Every day I'd have people reminding me of Oasis in whatever way they could. Literally, I'd walk down the street and people would open windows or open doors and turn up the stereo. And every shop I went into, they'd change the tape and put an Oasis one. Every pub, you know, it was just relentless.
I didn't particularly enjoy playing country house, and I was listening to noisier, more American songs that had more room for inventiveness. But I think, I mean, it's something we had to do, was to take that perverse pop thing as far as we could, and we did. We took it as far as we could go, like a horse, until it dropped dead. And we were well aware when it was dead. And it pretty much coincided with Damon starting to enjoy a bit more of the music that I'd been liking.
Beat a bomb. What you done? She's your gun. Now what you done? You beat a bomb.
We started realising that maybe there is some worth in kind of jamming. And we'd always had a bit of a laboratory approach to recording before. I think we just left more space. We were no longer putting funny rhubarb and custard keyboard sounds and backing vocals that weren't particularly required anymore.
I still haven't worked out what I'm doing, so the album Blur was just another example of me not really knowing where I was going and who I am.
Britpop had appeared, and it had come to represent a kind of election manifesto. No right-thinking, subversive rock and roll animal wants to be making government-sanctioned music. You know, so we just thought, we just had to get as far away from that as possible, really. We just said, well, no more fucking brass. And we let our hair down a bit, really.
And when she lets me slip away, she tells me
I think that's what I've sort of learned, and why kind of things work a lot better for me now, is that I can separate stuff, you know, that I do write too much music to just put it all into the band. I don't think it's fair either, because I think a lot of it really doesn't lend itself to what is good about Blur as four people.
The film is called Ordinary Decent Criminal, and it's about a gang and their leader in Dublin. I chose Damon to compose the music because I didn't want a traditional classical type score. I wanted a pop score. Most films of this kind of sort of urban drama, gangster drama, tend to use a lot of source music, pre-recorded music, and I wanted somebody who could compose a score that was could cover the range of the needs of the film.
Listen, I'm going to start losing my rag soon. Right, when we play to the track, don't listen to the click, listen to the music. I'm only interested in you playing in the music. I don't care about the click. The vibe is already, there's drums, there's guitar, there's everything. Okay? So fuck the click. Well, make sure it's click. Make sure the music is there. You're playing with other musicians here. You're not playing to a click. Okay? We haven't got time to fuck around like this. When you're working film music, I think you live so long with the images when you're writing the music and trying to set it all and spot it. You know, it's kind of. It's not like working with a band where you've known each other for years and your frame of reference is really exact, you know, because you've all been through the same experiences and listened to the same music. Can someone take charge of this? Because I'm just going to, you know, it just seems like the easiest task on the planet to play this. Just because it's out of, it's not like, you know, it's a kind of backing track that they're not used to. It doesn't mean they can't play to it.
You need to advance R2. Beat 2 needs to...
That's better. It's really close now. It's just got to be a little bit more musical. Dun da dun da dun da dun da dun da dun da. Just a bit more feeling in those answering phrases. That's why it was quite sort of stressful today, because it's. But I think we got it out of them in the end. You know, it's just a case of persistence.
All the changes in the band come from low boredom thresholds, overexposure to MTV, short attention spans, constant search for something fresh and new and interesting. You're not in a band unless you want to do something different every day. If you want to do something that's the same every day, you're a computer programmer. It was the kind of... realising that was what made me join a band rather than be a computer programmer. I've always been interested in visual trickery. Animation is something, I suppose, it was around the time when I quit drinking and I found I suddenly had loads of time on my hands, and one thing you need for animation is time. I suppose this is a little story about having a drink, really. I was obviously still thinking about drinking in some deep way.
And it makes quite a noise. And then there's things like quite interesting music you can make on this thing. Sort of like this kind of thing. And that's about it. That's about how much I can deal with technology. But I mean, I do most of the artwork on this anyway, and they kind of this sort of thing. But like that's how it kind of turned out. The sketches that went towards the cover of 13 from the painting over the other side of the room. But it was going to be the cover to Tender first of all, but then they liked the other one better for Tender, this one. So it got swapped out.
Yeah.
Damon's writing has improved so much over the last few years, and I think with confidence comes the desire to not hide behind so many different characters and actually write more in the first person, which in fact is what he's doing now. And I can't understand people kind of criticising. In fact, there was a letter recently in the NME, someone criticising Damon for writing about his breakup as being an influence behind an album. And I was just sort of, how can you be critical of someone? You know, the relationships have always been a great influence behind writing.
For a while was really difficult with this record is that it sort of started to become so preoccupied with my ex-relationship. It's the real problem with being involved with someone who is also in the same business or is in a similar business with similar kind of profile to yourself, is that everything becomes personal. You know, you can't possibly avoid it. Anything you do is in some way linked to that, so and everything gets very distorted, and I think, you know,
it always generates a lot of musical voltage, a bit of love, a bit of a love rumble.
More organic record maybe than any of our other records, but all the experimenting really for me is done while I'm writing the songs. Yeah, this is what I do all my demos on, and I like it because it's got an inbuilt microphone so that I can be anywhere and I can do, you know, just have a guitar and then I can just do 4 and then bounce. I can do like 8 tracks on this. Yeah, I mean you know, it's sort of brilliantly crap. All the demos from 13 were written on this, and most of them from the album before. A song should be strong enough anyway to sort of survive whatever you do to it. If it's not, then it's the fault of the song and not the person who's working on it, really. That's why I like working on this thing, because if it sounds good on here, it's definitely going to sound good when it's, you know, been really enhanced.
Dave and I met Professor Colin Pillinger, who's basically waving a flag for a British space programme. He's going to drop off a 25-kilogram payload at Mars, and he's devised some fairly clever equipment that burrows under the oxidised surface, gets into the subsoil, basically trying to detect biological fart prints, methane gas. If he can prove that life's existed elsewhere, then that'll probably be the biggest discovery ever. So we've just done a little bit of music for it.
I think I'm someone of extreme, so I either like something that is like marble or water or glass, simple and beautiful, or something really obnoxiously hideous in the other extreme.
I had the good fortune of working with the Smiths and working with someone as good as Johnny Marr, and never thinking I'd work with a guitar player as good as Johnny ever again. But if anything, Graham managed to surpass that, because he just takes things and he just distorts things. He just likes to turn things around a little bit and add an extra element.
Well, our biggest hit ever. I heard that Robbie Williams is ending his shows with Song 2, and the majority of the audience there probably think that he wrote it now, which is a bit annoying.
Song 2 was huge because it's completely unsophisticated and thuggish, and that's what basically people like.
I mean, basically it all comes down to good songs. It doesn't matter how you present good songs, really. There'll always be good songs. You don't care what a pretty girl's wearing, do you?
You really have lived through all the cliches. I mean, we're the indie Spinal Tap, really. I mean, we've done it all, you know.
One of the great things about them is you don't know what they've... a cliche. You don't know what they'll do next, but you really don't. So, if their next record is a skiffle album, I won't be that surprised. I'll be rather amused, actually.
The South Bank Show, in association with Anderson Consulting.